Hey yo, it's your boy Kaliko. Now, I watched a couple of movies on Friday night and I had planned on doing movie reviews for you. Both the movies I saw, whoops, not going to get into that right now. Um, in the middle of that, before that, I should say, I started having some comments come in. And the comments started off fine, no big deal. I'm going to put the first comment that came in that I planned on replying to, but I never got around to it in the middle of doing other stuff and videos posted. And it was from, oh, well, you'll see his name on here. It says, I've been a longtime subscriber and was a longtime Patreon supporter, which I'm sure that's true. I haven't been able to check my Patreon account because I closed it down. And the reason I shut down my Patreon account is because I believe in freedom of speech, and I don't believe websites should be policing outside of their own domain, which is exactly what Patreon does. Patreon, in my mind, is a bad company because they think they can punish people on Patreon for something somebody says on Twitter or YouTube or wherever. And I believe in freedom of speech, so unless these people are actually doing things harming others or something like that, I don't believe they have that right, and I'm not going to work with them. Now, at the same time that this came around, I was also starting to go through my own life troubles and had decided that I wasn't going to be able to keep up my end of my promises with my patrons, and so I shut down my account for two reasons. One, because I didn't feel like I could keep up the way that I was trying to keep up with my patrons, and also because I believe in freedom of speech, and Patreon feels they have the right to police outside of their own domain, which I don't believe they have that right, and I think it's a slippery and dangerous slope if we allow them to keep doing stuff like that. So I've digressed long enough. I'm going to start back at the beginning of Caleb's comments and read his comments right here. I've been a longtime subscriber and was a longtime Patreon supporter. I'm sorry you've gotten yourself into a rough spot. Yes, I have. In life. And it's great that you're going to your community for help. I don't know the values of faceted sunstones to weigh in on the prices you're asking, but I do know a lot about Ethiopian opal prices. I won't say what I think about your asking for them. I think he meant to say about what you're asking for them. But I will say to anyone looking to buy the Ethiopian opals, do some research and compare the carat weight, color, quality, and value before dropping a lot of money. I hope you don't mind me saying this, and I hope you're able to work through whatever it is you have going on in your life. I look forward to more videos of you collecting across the US. Because most people have gotten into my channel from when I was collecting across the US, most of them don't care what it costs me to do that. Most of them don't care that it has been in no way financially lucrative. And screw lucrative, it hasn't paid for itself. The things and parts that did pay for themselves and did help me out was when I was selling fire agate windows, most from Slaughter Mountain, most from a friend of mine, John, most really good stones at really, really cheap prices. That was the only time in this channel that I have made anything close to an actual income. Now, most people just don't care. They only care about what they can watch. And to those people, I have to say, tough shit. This is the way it has to be. And unfortunately, I would love to be out in the dirt all the time, but I can't. And my family and my children, they're my family, come first. They are the ones I truly care about. I did grow up without a father. The parenting in my life was ultra bad. And me being a good parent and learning how to be a good parent and interacting with them is paramount to my life. So that has to do with that one thing. And now I'm going to talk about what Caleb says. In this statement, he's fine in everything he says. I was going to respond to this statement before these other statements came in, pretty much saying that as long as you're not slanderous, as long as you're not lying about me, because that's slander, as long as you're not being majorly disrespectful, you can post any of your opinions. I'm fine with that. The only people I have ever blocked from my channel or from you guys seeing them are outright bad promotions, outright horrible, slanderous statements and comments with no relative facts anywhere in them, because people can say whatever they want. But on my channel, you can't say lies, especially about me or things that I can find out. If I find out that you are posting up stuff that's not true, you have no point of reference, this isn't a political channel. It's gone. You want to do that stuff? Go to Tim Cook's channel. He's got plenty of crazies on there, but I'll get into that guy later. So it went downhill from here. It was a good 24 hours I hadn't responded to Caleb, and I got another comment from somebody else. Now, there's been a lot of responses to this, and before I get into my videos of my video responses to this stuff, because I've done my research, they think they have, but they really haven't. What I will do is I will reshoot some video of my opals that I'm selling, put them on a black background instead of a white background with the light on them properly, which we'll go into more of that later too. Yet the comments went way downhill really fast on another video with this guy, Alex Iva. That Ethiopian opal, he says, goes for 20. Is that a pound? I don't know what that sign is. It's is a lire? Is it a pound? I don't know. I'm a dumbass American. I know dollars and cents. You know what I'm saying? So Alex says that Ethiopian opal goes for 20, I think, pounds on eBay. Or maybe it's euros. That might be the euro symbol. That's what I should do. I should look that up. But I'm going to skip that. You asked $250. Really? Sorry. Best offer I offer you is 15. And he said, I believe that is 15. I kept saying pounds, but now I'm pretty sure that's probably a euro symbol. So my response was, Alex Iva, yeah, troll comments that don't mean shit to me. Then buy those small little chips from an untrustable seller that are photoshopped. Get real with your BS. Caleb responded with Coleco and Mining America. Alex Iva is right. I wasn't going to go into prices, but since someone else did, I'll tune in. You're asking well over 10 times markup on the pieces you're selling. I've made tons of purchases of Ethiopian opals off of eBay with zero issues and from vendors from local shows. When buying online, I typically pay $1 or less per carat, and from local vendors, $2 per carat for the same quality as you're showcasing here. Your best stone are the honeycomb ones for sure and are worth more, but not nearly what you're asking. I'm not trying to be rude, but it would be wrong not to inform anyone interested in these prices that these prices are extremely high and that they should do research before considering buying. Well, that's bullshit. And I'll keep saying that word. That's bullshit. I didn't buy them that cheap. That's a fact. I hand-selected these. I didn't get them from eBay. These were bought when I purchased my opals out in Tucson, and they are top grade. He's an idiot for not thinking that. Or for thinking that I'm a scammer. You call me a scammer, I call you a liar and probably stupid. Which, sorry, Caleb, that's how I feel right now. I'm pretty pissed off about this whole interaction. Alex Iva responds, at Caleb Willis, I just bought myself 3 Ethiopians, 13.5K, equaling 19.5 pounds. Or frickin', I keep saying pounds, and I keep meaning to say euros. Second, 16 carats equal 25 euros. Third, 7.4 carat equal 12 euros. They are very cheap now because there's lots on the market. He can just Google himself and see the reality. Anyways, he says he loves his subs for buying from him, not for subscribing, so maybe that's the target, his subs. This dude is obviously stupid because I never end my statements with, I love you for buying. What do I say, guys? Leave a note in the comments what I say at the end of every video, because it sure as hell isn't, I love you for buying. That's not what I say. This guy's a dumbass. Now, Alex Iva responds to me. At Coleco and Mining America. Troll you for what, my friend? I'm not a YouTuber, and we have nothing to do with each other. There's no with, but I live in Ireland, you in the US or something, so good luck with your sale, but you ask crazy money. Google this stuff. You have and see what we all can see. If you want to email me and I will send you pics of my collection, I know what I'm talking about. No, you don't. You know that you've picked a couple of things up off of line and that your things you think are as good as mine, which is just bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I responded with, Alex, I have a per Google search, and this is if you search prices of Ethiopian rough. The price per carat of Ethiopian opals ranges from $10 to $250 per carat based on the intensity, variety, and patterns of color. Top quality gems will have color all over the entire surface, free of visible inclusions on the top surface of the opal. And then I said the same thing to Caleb Willis because their responses and the things that are saying are just not true. Caleb Willis responded with, Coleco and Mining America, it is not bullshit, man. Every Ethiopian opal I've bought is of the same quality or higher. You're a liar. That's what I say. If you say everything you've bought is of the quality of what I have and higher, you're full of shit, buddy. You just copy and pasted an Ethiopian value search result. Yes, I did. I said that too, didn't I? Totally said that, right? I've been monitoring the value and market via auction sites like eBay and Opal auctions for years now, and from vendors specializing in Ethiopian opal at local shows. Don't get me wrong, some Ethiopian opal can command a high price tag, but what you're selling is run-of-the-mill, common market Ethiopian opal with the exception of the honeycombs. You're wrong, or you're stupid, or you're a liar, Caleb, because that's not true. And I'll prove it. It was really easy to prove. It only took me about an hour of research and clipping stuff out of both eBay and Opal auctions, which I am very well versed in both of those. And do you really think that the people that go to shows like Tucson take their best stuff and put it on eBay or Opal auctions? Or do you think they save it for the shows where other people are going to be at, where they have to pay $3,000 for their booth for a weekend? I wonder how that goes. They must take their crap out to Tucson and then auction their best stuff off at bottom dollar. You're so right. Caleb, bullshit, and I'll prove it. I've done my research. Alex Iva had said, before all of this, actually, now I'm seeing, the stupidest thing you can ever do, sell things, and added that you need money desperately. No good. You get the lowest offers ever. GLWS, which I didn't look that up because I don't care. Good luck with selling, maybe? But he's obviously a troll in the way he puts his comments because he's all like, fight time, man. Come on. I don't like to... Like, but if you want to fight, you came to the right dude. Just came to the right dude. Because personally... I'm always game. So that's the end of those comments, and I put them on the screen at this point so you can read the comments, and you're welcome to say whatever you want and put whatever comment you want in this video. Do me a favor, leave their, well, I don't care what you do about their comments. They made them public, so they're public comments. They're welcome to say anything they want, and you're welcome to say anything you want to them within reason. Do not harass people. Do not say things that are untrue. Do not verbally attack people or threaten to attack people. Just don't. When I say I'm ready to fight, we're nowhere near each other. We're not going to get into a fist fight. And if they were dumb enough to hit me up on the street, that would be their problem and my problem, which I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not the kind of guy to even hold on to this garbage longer than this video. Once this video's done and we're done dealing with this garbage, I'm not going to even have it on my brain. But since it's been up here, it has been on my brain, and now let's get into some research. Opal is a hydrated amorphous form of silica. Its water content may range from 3 to 21% by weight, but is usually between 6 and 10% because of its amorphous character. It is classified as a mineraloid, unlike crystal forms of silica, which are classified as minerals. It is deposited at a relatively low temperature and may occur in the fissures of almost any kind of rock, being most commonly found with limonite, sandstone, rhyolite, marl, and basalt. Opal is the national gemstone of Australia. Now, I've been planning to do a properly shot video about opals similar to the one that I shot about sunstones recently, and I don't want to ruin that video by doing too much of that right now. So what I will tell you in my own words is that there's Ethiopian opals, and the problem with the majority of Ethiopian opals is that they crack and they fissure. It's called crazing. Now, as stated previously, opals can have up to, it says 21%. I had been told 30% water, which that's a lot of percentage. Now, when that water dries out, it leaves air pockets. And even if you can't see the air pockets with your eye, they will end up making the opal collapse in on itself, and that creates the crazing and the cracks. The majority of opals around the world craze. Now, most Ethiopian opals are hydrophane opals. And hydrophane opals, they absorb water and release water. Now, in the absorption and the releasing of water, they can once again crack and craze. So that ends up making the majority of the opals that come out of Ethiopia not good enough for gemstones. Now, one of the ways that the miners and the resellers will check to see if their opals will be good enough for gemstones is they'll let them dry out. They'll soak them again for a few days or a few weeks, let them dry out, and they'll do this a couple of times. And if the opals don't craze a bunch on the inside, then they'll go ahead and cut them. Now, in order to make money off of their sales, they're going to sell anything that they can get that people are going to be willing to buy. And if you're willing to pay $1, they're willing to sell you an opal. And that's understandable, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this information is paramount to understanding what kind of opals you're purchasing, and that when you purchase them in person, you can actually check how hydrophane they are. Because if they're dry opals and they stick to your tongue really easily and really hard, and they don't feel like glass, but they feel like stone absorbing the moisture out of your tongue, they're definitely majorly hydrophane. And I'm going to say it, I licked every opal that I checked on buying before I purchased the ones I purchased, and the ones I purchased were the ones that were the most glassy on my tongue. Although they were dry, they didn't want to stick to my tongue and hold my tongue. So they are still hydrophane, but to me it was a test of hardness, that the opals that didn't want to hardcore stick to my tongue and had the feeling of more of a glass texture than a sticky texture were going to be a little bit harder than their cousins nearby that I was looking at. And I went through hundreds and hundreds of opals before I picked the ones that I chose. And I chose them based off of three qualities: hardness, the color, and how they stuck to my tongue. And that's how I picked the opals that I have here, that I have left. So let's move along. Now we're going to start by going to eBay, and as you can tell, they have these amazing pictures of opals on the front, and they're telling you they're only going to cost you $5.99, $6.99, which that's just not true. It's not accurate. It's not real. The first picture is a clickbait picture. The rest of the pictures are each piece that they have for sale. Much smaller, much less color, yet that price that they were talking about, yeah, it's there. Lots of matrix, lots of crazing, very little color. Nothing like what I'm selling at all for the prices that these slanderous two guys are saying. But I didn't just go to one place or one person that has a whole bunch of inexpensive Ethiopian opals. I went to a whole bunch of them and found on eBay there was only a few guys doing sales like this in general, and that the majority of the stuff they're selling is low quality, even for Ethiopian opals. Now this screenshot, that's a banger, and look how the thing is fully polished and the gentleman's fingers are completely dry. The stone's not wet, but then after we go past that first stone, once again, we're going to some stones that are worth about $1 a carat, and there's cracks in them. There's a little flash of color here and there, but there's not very much. There's a nice stone here and there, but I would still say there's nothing like the stuff that I am selling. And my stuff has been dry for a number of years, and I've soaked it and polished some of it and then re-dried it again, and I have had no crazing or cracking issues. My issues with my stones would be too much pressure or not willing to carve them any farther than I already had. but just about every eBay seller was the same. Nobody was selling anything outrageously amazing, and anything that was even mildly good tended to already be gone. Yet they are using that amazing stone as clickbait to get people to look. And one of the things I noticed is that when I went through a whole list of all the 200 stones some of these sellers would be selling, is that none of the sales were actually of the original title picture. Not one. None of them were selling that amazing stone that's in the beginning right there. That stone's not for sale in this auction. Even for $223, that stone's not for sale. Now, this guy has some of the best stones I've seen out of any of them. But once again, there's issues with them, and they're the same issues I spoke about. You can see the crazing on the faces of these stones. They're not going to cut good gemstones. The actual quality is very low in comparison to the type of stuff that I'm selling, regardless of what our two friends are saying about me in the comments. Now, this next seller had grabbed my eye because of the great clickbait picture on front, and he has perfect advertising inside of his sales, as you can see, with the great picture, and then he has a page that has Jawar Opal King on it. But the problem is in the fine print. Opal rough from 8 to 12 millimeters and 5 pieces for $50. He's not telling you how much they're going to weigh. He's telling you how small they are. And here in a second, I'll show you exactly how big 8 millimeters is to 12 millimeters and what size you could actually get of a stone of that size. But wouldn't you rather know what your stones are going to weigh and their size? And you're only going to get 5 for your $50. So you're not sure what you're going to get out of that. You're just hoping it's going to be something good. Millimeters is a very small measurement. These 3 stones just hit 12 millimeters on my little gauge thingamajiggy. Now let me show you those in my hand. There's 12 millimeters worth of stones on my finger. Now, this is my shortest stone. It's probably about 12 millimeters. Whoopsie. I don't care about those other little ones. It's probably about 12 millimeters. It's probably a little bit longer. But what I can guarantee is that there's nobody selling 5 of these on eBay for $50. About 13 millimeters. And I guarantee you that their stones are not like this one. Now, while I'm being insulted that these two guys are acting like I'm trying to rip my viewers off, I did find this other seller, 2+ carat, beautiful natural Ethiopian opals, $20 a carat. And then I find this stone in there, $85, museum quality, AAA, 7.73 carats. Now, they're selling more around the prices I'm selling at. Once again, though, it's sort of faulty advertising because those are not museum quality anything. I'm pretty sure museums don't have a 4-carat Ethiopian opal in them that matters much. And then look at the matrix on it. It's just a joke. This is what you're going to get on average from a place like eBay if you're lucky enough to actually get a good gemstone that's not completely crazed, cracked, and all over the place. After a bit of searching, I finally found somebody I would possibly buy from because it's the prices that they were talking about with some stones that show some color. 100+ carat stones selling from $100 to $300, most of them looking like they have color in them. Yet if you're going to buy a stone where you can only see 1 or 2 sides of it, you're really taking a gamble on how much color is going to be left inside of it. When I dig a little bit deeper in here, I can see that there are stones that range from 30 carats all the way to well over 100 carats, with prices that all tend to be around the same price, which in my mind says that this seller is trying to base his prices off of both quality of the color in the stone and also the stone's weight, which is more realistic than some of these other ones. So I started going through some of his stuff because after going through a bunch of other people's stuff, he's the only one that had anything surprising that was actually selling it. Like this $219 stone right here. That looks like an alright opal. And for the size, it's pretty big. Now, he has some other stuff in here that's not bad. And of course, if you look hard enough, you're going to find somebody on eBay that has something you want to buy. Yet these guys are acting like eBay sets the market price. And that's a thought process for stupid people, because eBay sets the market price of garage sales. eBay is the bargain basement that we go to when we need to sell something right now and super fast. It is not the place where we go where we want to sell things at the market price that we feel they are worth. Once again, this gentleman had a couple of nice stones with a couple of prices that are pretty cheap. I'm not afraid to show somebody that has some all right stuff. At the same time, these two guys acting like I'm ripping people off or like eBay and Opal Auction sets the market price is just absolute insanity. Total insanity. One last thing about this guy's really beautiful stones is if you notice, the carat weight is extremely small. 2 to 3 carats here or there. Super beautiful stones, yet very small to where when you cut them, you're going to lose a majority of that weight. You're going to end up with a 1 carat stone. With the price of opals, the color and the size of the stone have a lot to do with the value. So if you can cut a large, very beautiful and very bright stone, you're going to get much more money than if you have a very beautiful and very bright small stone, especially for stones 5 carats and above when it comes to opals and almost anything else in gemstones. Yet, once again, I say this guy has some cool looking stuff, and one of the things I notice is that his hands look dry. That is something you definitely need to pay attention to, and the saturation of the picture and which direction the light is coming from. Because if they sell you a contraloose opal that looks like it's got all kinds of amazing color in it, it's only going to look like that when you get the light from the back going through the opal. It's never going to look like that when the opal has the light on its face. Now here we have some opal parcels that once again, it's on a black background, which is going to help the color show up. The opals are obviously dry, and you can see some color appearing here and there. It is a lot of opal for a very cheap price. Is that the actual parcel you're going to get? I hope so, because at that price, that parcel would be worth it, and that might be the kind of parcel these guys are used to buying. Now, as we go through the pictures that I had up selling my opals previously, you can see the color from all sides. You can see that they're almost completely flawless on all sides, and there's not much matrix to be had, but there is saturation of color through the whole stone, and the body tones are really good body tones. The thing about Ethiopian opals is that the chocolate and the red body tones are very, very valueless next to the other body tones. They are not very sought after because of the price that goes with them, because of the crazing that also goes with them. Opals from Ethiopia that have a orange background or base color, they tend to be not as highly valued either. The clear crystal, the dark base as in the black base, and the white base Ethiopian opals, whereas the white base tend to be really saturated with color like this one, those are a little bit more sought after, especially like I said, than the orange, brown, and red stones. And when photographing and videotaping your opals, they show up much different in a black background with the proper contrast than the way I originally shot them on a white background. Yet, not too many people are walking around in dark rooms with bright lights on their opals when they have them on a neck piece or on a ring or wherever they tend to have them. They tend to be in daylight, and so I wanted to show what your opals will look like when you pull them out of the box, not what they'll look like if you were to paint the back of them black. Now, I'm almost 30 minutes into this video, and I still am in eBay, but I wanted to show you a couple of extremely expensive, crazy prices that some people put on some of this stuff, like the $935 for that one, and there's a couple others in here, but really, I need to get out of eBay, and we need to go check out Opal Auctions, because this is one of those places that guy was totally referencing and acting like it sets the market value, and a auction house online does not set the market value. They have nothing to do with the overall market. They are the bottom tier of the market. And one of the worst things about Opal Auctions is that it's not the auction site that sets the shipping fees or the returns or anything like that. It's just like eBay in that it's up to the seller. So one seller might charge you $50 for shipping. Another seller might charge you $5 for shipping. One seller might have a return policy. The other seller might have no return policy. And I've had it happen to me one time on Opal Auctions where I bought something from them. I did not get what was pictured, and there was pretty much nothing I could do about it. Now, I was lucky in the fact that it wasn't worth very much because I was doing like these guys and I was trying to get the biggest bang for my buck. And what I ended up getting was a lackluster opal that was extremely red in body tone, which I thought was extremely red in color, which ended up not being valuable at all and crazed all to hell when I tried to cut it. Now, I myself have no problem with eBay or Opal Auctions or any of the people selling stuff on there as long as they're selling what they're showing and they're being honest with their products, that they're not selling totally crazed material as cuttable. Yet when I go and try and find cutting rough on Opal Auctions, what I find is stones that are selling that are similar to mine for a minimum of $10 a carat. And those are from the miners and the wholesalers, which I am neither a miner of these opals or a wholesaler of these opals. So the fact that these guys would think that I would be trying to sell at the bargain basement prices that they can get from eBay and Opal Auctions, once again, I want to use the word stupid. Because when you're going to buy something with the intention of making money off of it, you need to sell it for more than you bought it from. That's the basis of resale. Now, if you noticed in this one, it says collector's stone, and the stone and his fingers are wet. That means from Opal Auctions that they're expecting this stone to craze a lot. It's big, it hasn't been out of water, so you don't see any crazing yet. Yet when you let it dry out, it's going to craze hardcore. Now let's get into some cuttable stones like this gentleman's 6.2 carat chaff pattern $60 stone. He's asking $10 a carat, and he is probably the miner if you can see how rough his hands are. Those fingers don't get much moisturizer, and he's just used to the cracking and the pain. And I'm telling you that if you're going to buy something like that from him, and then you pay for the insurance and the shipping cost to come over, that you're not going to be able to sell it for $1 or $2 a carat. That's not how resale works. You want to make a little bit of money, and anybody that cuts that stone is going to want to make a little bit of money. Now here we have a Wello white opal body color, best cutter, best pattern, whatever. Top cutters. This guy puts his carat weight, he puts the measurements of the stone on it, he gives a good description of each one of the stones, and he's going to be asking probably a fair price. And looking at the stone, I say it might be a nice stone for cutting, but it doesn't come close to the colors that I have. And then look at the amount of matrix that's on it. I'm only trying to defend myself against people that are saying stuff that I find to be completely and totally ridiculous. I wanted to make sure that when I went through these stones that it didn't look like I was just cherry picking what I wanted to see, and that's why I'm scrolling through stuff so fast, because I recorded it on my phone so that you guys would see how my workflow went, and I'm doing voiceovers afterwards. Now this stone has some great color in it. It's a white body. He's got a lot of pictures. His hands look dry, and look at those fingernails. Those fingernails tell you that that dude lives out in the hardcore desert somewhere. He's not worried about his nail growth. His hands are all super rough. You're buying it directly from the miner or the miner's brother probably. And he's going to be willing to sell for the cheapest price of anybody else because anybody that buys it from him needs to make a buck. That's how this stuff goes. That stone he wants $159 for, and that's from the miner himself. And here we go into another one, multicolored pattern. He doesn't say whether it's cuttable or not, but it's got great colors in it. I know that. It's a 14 karat stone. It's got fantastic body tone. It's like a yellow-green body tone. Great colors running through it. I like this stone a lot. If you go ahead and read his terms and conditions, all sales are final, no refunds, no exchanges. He has all kinds of terms in there because he's probably been burnt a lot. And he's only asking $30 for that stone. Heck, with no refunds and no exchanges, I hope you get the proper stone. Although the stone looks really good for the price, I would still say that maybe this one was an auction, so we don't know that that's going to be the sale price at the end. What I do know is that Opal Auctions tends to cater to the wholesalers and the miners that are inside the area of the world that these stones are coming from. You need to have a fair amount of stock and a reputation and the ability to get verified through Opal Auctions. You and I would not have an easy time of being able to sell a handful of stones on Opal Auctions. It's not that simple. Opal Auctions is definitely not eBay. And a lot of these opals are coming directly from the source, which totally contradicts the stuff I had these two guys saying about me and about what they're getting, although I have a feeling they're mainly getting crap and acting like it's the best, cheapest thing ever. But that's a common tactic of somebody trying to buy things. They want to diminish the thing you're selling and let you know that they've gotten the exact same thing way cheaper, so maybe you can break the price down like that. Although I doubt these two guys are trying to buy from me. They just have some heavy-handed opinions that tend to be totally wrong. Now, the last seller I'm going to show you is Moriarty's Gem Art. Now, I found them on YouTube about a year ago, and I've been subscribed to their channel. They have about 43,000 subscribers, and as you can tell, they cut some fantastic gemstones, not just Wellow Opal. They do have a shop. They do videos online, and they have their online store. But one of the things I want you to notice is the prices of their opals. Depending on the size, depending on the color, depending on the body tone, they range from $100 a carat to $75 a carat. And at one point, they had some of their stuff priced at $250 a carat. Now, it's all fantastic stuff. Most of it has great cuts. I wish I could have made the screen bigger instead of this shape, but once again, when I was doing this research, I really wanted to show you guys how my workflow was going. I didn't want you to just think that I was just cherry picking this one and that one and that one and this one. I wanted to be able to show you that I did the research and that I wasn't just going through and picking what was going to prove my side of the story, but was going to give you the full story. Because to me, the full story is what's most important, and it shows the honesty in the ideas. And the ideas being honest from me matters to me going out to you. I want you to understand that when I'm telling you things, I am trying to be honest about them, and I am not trying to be underhanded, deceitful, or nefarious. Those are things that I don't like and upset me about people, to where I don't talk to those people or hang out with those people or have anything to do with those people. I like people on the up and up. Even if their bluntness hurts my feelings sometimes, I can appreciate honesty and bluntness way more than I can appreciate really nice deceit. And they have some amazing opals in here, and you can see some faceted stones, and you can see some stones that they have that are freeform cabochons, and you can see some regular style cabochons. But one of the things you're going to notice is great colors. The way the colors play are fantastic. That is the main thing I wanted you to see, because when you see my stones, they have great colors. It's one of the things I focused on, and I would not sell people run-of-the-mill, regular, mediocre opals as these guys have claimed against me. And one of the main things about run-of-the-mill opals is they do not have colors like you see in Moriarty's Gem Art opals, or like the opals that I have on my page of the stuff that I was trying to sell, that I was keeping for my personal private stash, not as stuff that I was trying to pawn off because I bought it on eBay for $1 a carat. That's just silly. These guys are just mean. They're totally rude, and I have been totally rude and totally mean right back at them. I have no problem going to verbal tactics and war with people, as you can see. And look at these gorgeous stones right here. 37 carats, $1,600. 15.2 carats, $1,300. 31 carats, $1,900. And once again, that's the colors and the body tones are why that they're picking the prices they are. Now we're sort of running out of their opals on Moriarty's Gem Art. I think there's a couple of more running down here, but I do need to finish this video. It's getting close to 40 minutes long, and a 40-minute video in 4K takes a long time to process and upload, let alone all of the editing. I have spent about 4 to 5 hours into this video, and in my opinion, that's way too much to call two people a bunch of names. So, let's move on. Now, as you can tell, like I said earlier, that the background really changes how the opal looks on camera. That if I have a white background, the opals are not quite as flashy or as saturated with the color as when I put them on a black background. On a black background, it really makes those colors bounce back out at you. But when I wanted to put them up for sale, I wanted to make sure that everybody could see the stones as they would see them with the naked eye. And that's why I had them on a white background. These stones are fantastic. They are fully saturated with color. I personally picked them out in person in Tucson when I did my Tucson videos, and that was a couple of years ago, at least like 3 years ago now, I believe. These stones have been with me for 3 years, and they're still not cracking and crazing, and I've put a little bit of a polish on a couple of them, like this one and the next one, but most of them, all I've done is cut them in half because of the shapes that they had were too odd to turn them into any kind of good cabochon. And I wanted them to be really good cabochons because they're really great stones. They're fantastic stones, this one being the best of the bunch and the biggest of the bunch. It's got an amazing saturation to where the body tone is green and blue, although it's a white crystal Ethiopian opal. This video is way too long. I put way too much time into it. I hope a bunch of you watch it. It's got fantastic stones in it. Well, my stones are fantastic. So is Moriarty's. There's even a few good ones on Opal Auctions and on eBay. There's no way that I'm going to say that every seller on eBay or every seller on Opal Auction sells crap, because that's just not true. And I don't like to be disingenuous, and I don't like to be a liar, and I definitely don't like to be called a liar or disingenuous or a scam artist. So screw you two guys, because I know you watched this all the way to the end. No way that you didn't. Although, if you think I'm going to push people towards you to show your stones, or that I care about looking at your emails so you can try and educate me, you got another thing coming, considering your education is coming from your local shows, not that they're bad, and from the internet, not that it's bad. My education a lot of times comes from the internet. But when I bought these stones in Tucson, I can tell you what, I went to 50 different sellers. I went to a whole bunch of different shows, and my buddy I was hanging out with, he was getting frustrated over all of the opals I would dig through, because 90% of the sellers, even in Tucson, had garbage most of the time. Most of their stuff was so crazed and so cracked, it wasn't worth the money. And everything is totally a haggle, but I didn't haggle with any of those people because most of their stuff was not buyable for somebody like me. And I love you for watching. That's obviously what I say at the end of my videos. If you'd like to purchase one of my opals or one of my sunstones or any of the rest of the stuff I've had on my channel and you want to make an offer, go ahead and hit the email address that was on the screen with my opals previously. Once again, I love you for watching. Sorry about being an asshole. I tend to do that sometimes. And I hope you enjoyed this rant. Like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. But definitely tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you soon.